The state of Ohio may have a bit of a hero right now. Believe it or not, the hero may be a representative, a state representative. In politics, you don't see this often.
No.
But shout out to Bill DeMora, who is a state senator, represents the city of Columbus in the Ohio State Senate. He's introduced a bill that would ban the state's universities from entering in or renewing contracts where they would have their athletic games exclusively streamed on a streaming service. The best example would be the Ohio State Buckeyes would not be able to have a football game that you can exclusively watch on Peacock if this bill were to go into effect, which I think a lot of people would love if this was the case.
Yeah, Bill DeMora said what inspired him to initially try and pass this legislation, because he's actually reintroducing this bill. I guess the first time it didn't go through, but was the Ohio State and Purdue game. And I remembered this game because I also was like, Peacock. I don't have a Peacock.
Yeah.
And so everyone was scrambling to get that. And he saw this in 2023 and it was only available on Peacock. And he was saying, I refuse to pay all these streaming service networks to watch Ohio State and other sports. Streaming television is not good for sports. And I remember in that game, there was buffering throughout.
Yeah.
And I think it's gotten better now. I've watched at least one more football game on Peacock, but at least back then it was not an enjoyable watch.
Yeah. Well, I remember at the time too, there was all kinds of, it wasn't just individuals that were like, dang, now I have to get this Peacock subscription that I don't care about for one game that I do. It was even more an issue for all of the bars and restaurants that would normally show an Ohio State game.
Yeah.
And I'm sure in a Purdue game as well. And they had to fork out however much money it was to have a streaming subscription to stream Peacock for public consumption, which is more than it would be just for an individual.
Yeah.
And there's going to be nothing else on Peacock that they can use, that they would show to anybody in their restaurants and whatever. And so, yeah, it was ridiculous in that regard as well. And there's a fairly decent argument that could even be made that it's like, if it's a state university, the taxpayers, in a sense, are making this possible. They should just be able to watch it without having to buy another subscription. It seems only fair, wouldn't you say? Good point.
I know the issue that we've had with this is that, especially for teams as big as like Ohio State, Michigan, some of these Big Ten teams that are getting involved in these huge TV contracts, is there's a lot of money involved, and a lot of money right now is from these streaming services, and so you're seeing.
And the streaming services aren't going to get people to subscribe by streaming Evansville.
No.
They have to get these big games that you actually want to watch, that you would even consider getting a whole subscription just so you could watch one game.
Exactly. Yeah. So these players like Netflix, Amazon Prime, they're trying to get into the game of sports because they realize it's a very lucrative area of television and entertainment. So yeah, they're trying to get their hands on the money.
Now, there should be a way around this, though. There should be a way around, like, where nationally the game could be streamed exclusively on Peacock. But if it is on Peacock, like, there has to be a local whatever channel in Columbus or in Ohio that is able to broadcast it. Even if outside of Ohio, you would still have to stream it on Peacock.
I think eventually what we'll see is, especially for these bigger teams and bigger conferences, is they're going to get bigger and bigger deals that it's just going to be like a smaller version of the NFL where they all just are on national television.
Yeah. And it just... if it's all on national TV, that'd be the best.
Yes.
While you're here, you should watch more of our videos and subscribe so you don't miss what we do next.